We have the Weber kettle that we just got done building. If you haven't seen that, I put a video up of it, of the unboxing and the building of it. I'm excited. This is my first time. I have never owned again a Weber. I've owned, I don't know, numerous different smoking pits and stuff like that, but this is my first ever little Weber. So excited. We're going to do some ribs on here tonight. So we're going to take the grate off that you were going to put the food on. Take that off first. And we're going to put some charcoal in. We want to make sure that it's not all the way around. I'll show you if you want to come on in here. Now, I know that some people are going to, blaspheme. He's using the match light stuff. You know what? Some people choose to, some people choose not. I don't think that if you're going to let it cook off in an open air environment that you're going to get a lot of that taste on the meat myself. So, and we're cooking it indirectly. So we're going to put some of this over here. But we're really looking to have that kind of on almost a third of this. We want to make sure we don't line it all the way across, okay? We're going to be cooking indirectly, so we want to make sure we get that taken care of. There I have some wood chips that I've been soaking. You can soak your wood chips in all different kinds of things. So you can soak these wood chips in all different kinds of stuff. These here are some hickory wood chips that I got, and soaked them in a little bit of beer. So we're gonna have a little bit of that flavor added to this, but we want to let this get nice and hot and everything first. So I'm gonna go ahead and light this up. And again, if you weren't using this match light stuff, you'd probably want to use like they make these little chimneys that you can light these things up with that work really, really well, and you get them really hot first and then you dump your white coals in. But again, to each his own, man. You do your own thing, and if this isn't for you, then you do your own, But this works out really well for me. You get this thing lit up on kind of all areas real quick. Make sure we get these couple little stragglers. There we go. Now, so here's what I'm going to do. We are going to let this thing get, let these coals get really nice and hot and white, and then we're going to come back out here with our meat, put the rack on top, and throw the meat on the other side. And we're also going to put the wood chips in at that point too. So see you back here in just a minute with that. So we're going to go ahead and get our ribs ready. Got 2 racks of St. Louis style ribs here. They got quite a bit of meat on them. They've already been trimmed up from the butcher shop. But before we always start with barbecuing, you have to start with the most important thing, which is the beer. And I'm going to turn you all on to, if you have not, I checked this out when I was over in Belgium this last summer. Fantastic, yummy beer. And they are not paying me to say it, but if somebody sees that they want to pay me in beer, I will definitely take it. But we're going to go ahead and take some of this action. They have these big glasses. They're almost like snifters that they put this in. I don't have a Duvel glass, but I do have a snifter, so we'll put that in there. And oh baby, that is yummy. All right, so we're going to get to the ribs here. A couple things I want to do. Have a nice sharp knife. I want to go ahead and clean up a little bit of this excess fat that is not going to render off of these ribs. Just kind of hold it up and get in there, glide across. Again, if you're working too hard with this, your knife is not sharp enough. Look at this, barely touching, barely pulling. Knife doing all the work. Okay, sharp knives save fingers. Notice how that one's a little bit softer fat, so I'm going to let it go from this side, get under it. Now I can get rid of that. Maybe just a little more. There we go. We do want to leave some of that fat on there. That will cook off, but some of this is just not going to, so we want to get rid of it. You also want to look for anything kind of hanging out so we can kind of clean it up and make it nice and even. So this one's good for right this minute. This one, excuse me, I'm going to pull in. Get a little bit of that real solid fat, that stuff that's not going to be yummy at the end of this cook. There we go. Actually, I think that's going to render off pretty nicely there. I'm going to flip this around so I can show you this piece that's still kind of hanging out here. Okay, so we'll go ahead and kind of trim that off. Now, here's the part that a lot of people don't do right when they do ribs, is there's this skin, and if you can kind of zoom in here, you can see between the meat and this part, you see this little grayish area, and that's called silver skin. So I'm going to go ahead and take that silver skin off. It is not very good. It is makes the meat tough, and so to get in there, what I like to do is kind of get a spoon and ride right between two of these ribs till you can pull that off. And again, maybe a paper towel will help you grip it a little bit. Sometimes you get lucky and you get the whole piece in one. This was not one of those times, so we're going to get back in here underneath with the spoon. Got a couple flies in the house that have been driving me nuts. Not sure what's going on, but there are flies in the neighborhood. Alright, see how we just peel that hole there? Peel it off. Again, real chewy, real hard. Not what we want to play with here. We want to get rid of that as much as we can. And I'll tell you what else I'm going to do. I'm going to take my nice sharp knife. There's a little bit of fat here. And more importantly, I see this flap right here. Where we put the seasoning on, that's going to get all kind of tucked underneath there. And this is not real good meat either. This is real kind of connective tissue type gristly stuff. So we're going to want to get rid of that as well. Perfect. So that one's done. We'll pull this one over here. Again, lots of little fat pieces we want to get rid of as much as we can. Again, some of this is good. You want little bits of fat, but even though pork is very fatty meat, we don't want to have all of this big chunks of fat in here. It's going to do a couple things. First off, it's not going to render out very well. Second off, it's going to continue to drip onto our heat source and could cause some flare-ups and stuff. And we, while we love caramelization, we do not like carbonization. Okay, that's the fine line that you walk as a chef. Carbonization tastes bitter and yuck, and that's burnt. We do not want that, so we're going to get rid of that as best we can. We're going to come in here and kind of get in here on one of these bones. You see I also have a butter knife over here because sometimes you want to slide in along the bone line here. Okay, and you can get underneath there with that silver skin. This one is being a real difficult booger here. All right. Alright, give this one more shot here and see what we can do. Sometimes they just don't work out for you and you start to break the ribs apart. If that's the case, you'd rather just leave it at that point. Better than having just, you know, roughed up meat here. Yeah, this is not being the most conducive. Not wanting to play too well. So we're going to leave that. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of just a little more of this fat. And I think we're about ready. So we're going to go ahead and season these up. I like to do my seasoning. Get rid of this trash real quick into the trash bin. I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm still gonna be using them. I'm gonna go ahead and wash my hands real quick. Can't make sure, hey, get those flies out of there. Swat those flies away. Gotta make sure that we, washing our hands as much as possible. Wanna make sure everything's nice and clean. All right. These doggone flies, I tell you what, you let a couple of them in the house, and woo, it's all over. All right. So, I'm actually going to take this whole thing and make it a little easier on me so it doesn't get so that it doesn't get all over the place. This is some rub that I've made. You can buy rubs, you can make your own rubs, really up to you. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and already got my dirty hand here, so I want to keep one hand clean and one hand dirty. With a clean hand, I'm going to take and put just a little coat of some olive oil that I spray. And that's going to help this rub to stick just a little bit better, make a little bit of crust on the outside. And you want to sprinkle kind of from up high so you get nice coverage. You don't get real big clumps of spots. And again, if you want to marinate yours and not rub them, I mean, totally up to you. It's your barbecue, right? I'm just showing you what I'd like to do. Get all that. I'm going to actually pat it down in so we don't lose a whole bunch on the flip. Okay. Again, clean hand. Mist that down. A little bit of olive oil. You could also use mustard. Sometimes I'll use on this. Some people don't even use anything, but make sure we get nice coverage on that. Okay. All right. Now, I'm gonna wash my hands. We're gonna take this out to the Weber grill and we're gonna get this thing started. Here we go. We're gonna go ahead and get this this thing ready. I have those wood chips I told you about. We have, if you look at this, it's glowing hot. Come on in here. You can see it's just glowing white hot inside there. That means these are all ready to go. So we're gonna sprinkle some of these wood chips in here. And again, that damp wood is going to really start smoking here real soon. It's going to give us a really nice flavor. Perfect. Now, I'm going to take this grate. You can already see that smoke starting to come out of there. Looks great. I'm going to put this grate down in there. They're using the word grate a lot apparently. Now, I'm going to take my ribs and I'm going to put them with the kind of the presentation side first. I'm going to put that down. So that the fatty side is up. And again, we want to make these offset. So what that means is, you can see that it's not directly over. I'm going to slide it. That your heat is on this side and we're offset on this. And so when I put this lid on, it's going to roll that smoke around this whole thing, but it won't have direct fire underneath it. So I'm going to do this, and I am not even going to peek at this thing for about, oh, I don't know, at least an hour. They're going to need 2 hours of smoke on here. I will come back and just temp it and see where we're at and see if we need to add a little more coal. But we're going to do this. Put that on. And I'll tell you what I'm going to do is I'm gonna close this down just a little bit so a lot more of that smoke stays in there and rolls around. We want a lot of smoke on this. So I'm gonna see you back here in, again, it's gonna be at least an hour. I might check them, but if you're looking, you ain't cooking. All right, so went ahead and pulled these off of the grill, off the Weber. It was about 3 hours total. And I tell you what, I peeked a couple times and they looked really, really good. So I didn't even wrap them. Well, sometimes I will wrap them up in tin foil and keep the juices in there, but everything looked like it was going along just smooth. So I went ahead, again, first time really doing it with a Weber, and I went from start to finish without wrapping them. And so that's where we're at. It was real dark outside, and so couldn't really even get the camera to where it would make sense. So I went ahead and pulled them off and brought them inside. I'm going to show you how we cut them. Now, any meat that you're ever going to cook, you want to make sure that you let rest for a little bit. So I have let this rest for about, about 10-15 minutes or so. So we're going to go ahead and cut into it. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get this thing cut into. We're going to find where the bone's at, make sure we got a nice clean cut through there. Go ahead and take one out so we can show you guys. All right, so you can see we have a nice smoke ring in there, that nice little pink color. And as I squeeze this, I want you to look, see how juicy that still is. Look at all the moisture coming out of there. Really, really nice and juicy rib. Let's see how the pull is. Yeah, I don't like it when it just falls off the bone. It's a little overcooked for me at that point. I like just a little bit of a pull. Wow. Boy, oh boy. That's fantastic. Now, sorry to talk with my mouth full. Now you could go ahead, throw some sauce on this bad boy if you want. I'm not a big sauce person. I do like some sauce. I make some homemade sauces, but these ribs, that rub really speaks and shines through. The smoke that we put in there, the beer that we soaked it in, everything. Really just hitting all the different taste buds right now. Fantastic. So thank you very much for joining us for this rib extravaganza and using the new Weber grill. Really, really excited. Please make sure you share this with your friends, family, neighbors, and bless and hope you guys stay safe.